Lance. This meeting might be very short. Lance, I see you're in the document. I copied this from the last one, so I
Good.
know if there would be any new 329 stuff, because there was the last one, 329.1 had went out, so I didn't know if there was a .2 or anything new there.
There is a .2 planned soon. I think we're waiting on the latest Golang CVE fixes.
Okay. Actually, I guess we should start. I don't know. Should we? Should we start the meeting or wait a minute?
Let's give it a couple of minutes since this is just the two of us at the moment.
All right.
I think Nathan normally comes.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and add that.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. And evening.
Yeah, is it morning for you,
Well,
Nathan?
it's evening.
Okay.
Lance, it's evening where you are.
Definitely, yes.
Mm.
I mean, it's later for you.
Yeah, but not much. Happy New Year, by the way.
And to you?
Thanks.
Yeah. You guys see it before I do. Well, maybe, I don't know. Did you stay up for it? We were just giving a little time, Nathan, to
Oh,
see if anybody. Casey said he was. Well, I don't.
yeah.
If he doesn't show up,
Uh,
it's because we got done quickly. I think. I think he said he was going to be late, but I don't know how late is.
about a month.
Yeah, if we're quick enough, yeah, that's how late it'll be.
But yeah, I don't know if yeah, you probably took some PTO. The start of the year is usually quite quiet, so I mean, on my end, been quite um, a bit hard to get back to it.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Yeah, certainly gets quiet between
Mm.
Christmas and New Year's. Well, I guess we're 5 minutes in. I guess we'll do what we can. So, oh, I guess I should share the, I usually do that. Let me share this. And let's see, actually, does it matter if I don't know if it, sharing something in the chat, does that show up on recordings? I don't know. There it is, the doc. So last time 329.1 had gone out, and Lance mentioned that there is a .2 coming out
Yes,
soonish. And is that right? Did I write that right? Waiting on Golang CVE fixes, as far
I
as you
believe
know?
that's my understanding of the current status. Yes.
Okay.
So I've been checking that the end-to-end runs are working and all of that jazz.
Is that just for picking that up, or were there some bug fixes in there too?
I'm pretty confident there were bug fixes in there too.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you exactly which ones. But yes, the current wait, I believe all the bug fixes are in, and the current wait is for Golang CVE fixes.
Gotcha. Huh? All right, 3:30. This is just what was what we discussed last time. I'm assuming it's probably the same, and if nobody's here to say otherwise, we'll leave it at that. Here, get rid of very. I know the operator installs CRDs is definitely in there, where the operator will now install the CRDs if you want to allow it. Well, I think it will by default, but you can still add the CRD separately.
And in fact, I think that's going to be recommended for automated systems where you want like the application of the custom resources to work instantly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anything else? Do you know anything else on that? On the 3.30 front, Lance?
I don't, I'm afraid.
Okay. Um, so Nathan, I guess to you, if you got anything on VPP?
No, so we are still doing troubleshooting and debugging and ironing out. We found quite a significant
Uh,
issue with
Nathan,
Ubuntu. Yeah. Sorry.
can you start over real quick? Because you cut out there for me
Oh
for
yeah.
at least a little bit.
Okay, sorry, I have network issues today, so I'm not sure why. But yeah, what I was saying is we are doing mostly still ironing out and the stabilization in the or and the performance testing. We've seen there was actually a quite interesting performance comparison talk at KubeCon India that we stumbled on. So that was that goes into the kudos. That was quite neat to see. And in terms
So,
of
were you guys involved in that, or it was?
not at all,
No, okay,
it's completely it was done by people from Marvel.
okay.
And yeah, and really happy to see that there is talk coming up that we didn't know about and we just learn about after the fact, and basically an independent benchmark from us.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's cool.
that was cool.
Is that do you know, is that has that already been happened, or is
Yeah,
that
it
upcoming?
happened in December,
Okay.
last December.
Is there a recording of it that we could put in the
Yep.
notes? You don't have to
Uh,
right now. I just, yeah, it'd be
yeah,
nice to
I
add that
can.
if.
Here is the link to the
Okay,
and the recording. I can find.
cool.
I can send after. I'll find again. Up into the notes. And last point is we found issues with Ubuntu 24.04. There were some changes, quite significant changes in the way tabs are handled. Probably these are not affected, but basically K threads disappeared. They were replaced by tasks, and this impacts performance of um, fat TCP pipes, essentially, and probably also multiple streams of slow packets. So we are trying to find a solution for that. And there is apparently a discussion going on as well in kernel and people complaining about the same thing as we have. So yeah, basically everything kernels beyond 6.4 have quite a few changes related to the way networking is handled. So we are still, it's still a bit early. There was one of the New Year's presents. So so we're still investigating, but basically, yeah, that came out.
Cool.
And
Cool.
hi, Casey.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I
Mm.
completely forgot and then was in commute on the way. But glad you're able to get started.
So did you have more, Nathan?
That was it on my end.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Casey, did you have anything you wanted to add? Lance mentioned there's a 329.2 on the way.
No, that looks pretty good to me. I think you guys got it covered. Actually, I'm more out of the loop than you guys. Lance, do you know what soonish means? Is that like in a week, 2 weeks, a day?
We're currently waiting for Golang CVE fixes, so soon after those come out.
Okay, I'm asking because I have some potentially important bug fixes to put into it.
Ah, okay. In that case, so we were hoping it would be this week, but it doesn't look like the Golang CVE fixes are out yet. So
Okay.
like soon.
Right, so I might be able to squeeze them in today if I get the
If you get them in
backports
today, yeah, no problem.
Cool. The main one I'm thinking about is this long-standing VXLAN tunnel address borrowing issue, where
That would be lovely to get in.
yeah, if you end up in a large enough cluster that you're borrowing IPs in order to give them to tunnel addresses, those nodes will not be able to talk to pods. And I actually discovered a very similar but not exactly the same issue yesterday related with /32 blocks that sort of results in a similar data plane state but a different root cause. That one probably won't be able to make it in, but at least they'll be able to fix the borrowing one. Otherwise, I didn't have a lot to talk about. I wanted to say, I know we talked about this before. I think we're going to be looking at changing the day that this meeting is held on. I know we've got some conflicts internally and some other folks who would like to be able to come but can't. So thought I'd give that a shout. Nathan, last time we brought it up, you said no days are good for you. And so I don't know if that's still the case or if there's a preferred day on your end.
Monday can be
Monday.
good. Same time. And Tuesdays can work as well.
Okay.
I think we've traditionally avoided Mondays because it's often when public holidays are.
I think that's fine if we have some that fall on public holidays, but I would rather miss some meetings and have more people able to come on the days that we have them than have them more regularly and not have people able to make it. But I will, yeah, try for Monday, Tuesday. I can't make promises, but that should be enough, I think.
Actually, yeah, I can do Thursday as well. I mean, the slot is good. Okay.
Cool. Only other ongoing work that might be interesting for me to talk about is the IPAM garbage collection bug that I've been banging my head on. It's kind of a fun one because we had this bug a while back where we were doing garbage collection, but we weren't feeding the controller from the cache properly, and so it was going round tripping to the API server whenever it needed to check on pod status, which obviously is not great for performance, and we were coming up against client-side rate limiting. It meant that in very large clusters, it could take hours to perform garbage collection because each API request sleeps for 5 seconds basically before returning. And so we fixed that, feeding it off of a cache. Now it happens much quicker, but it means that we use a lot more CPU. So it uncovered another area that we can optimize. And so I've been looking at how to do that. Got a pull request in flight that's I've sent Sean's way, but I think he's pretty busy. And yeah, that one won't be making it into the next patch release, but hopefully the one after it, if I'm able to get my way.
All right. All right. Guess we haven't really had an operator update. But I don't think I have anything other than, well, I added a Calico hero because of a operator change that he got in, and it took it not on their it wasn't their cause that caused it to take a while necessarily, but just to get it worked out, and then some back and forth on testing and stuff like that. So it was nice we got that in. I think the main thing that people would see is that the API server will now use rolling update by default for most cases. In the few cases where the API server runs host networked, it will still be recreate for its deployment, but most people should see it as a rolling update now. Oh yeah, that was the only thing that I had, I think.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Nice to not have that downtime.
Yeah, it also included the ability to set the priority class name. But I expect less people that'll matter to fewer people, but that is there too now. So unless anybody has anything else for check-ins or sneak peeks, does anybody have any hot issues? I mean, Casey,
I touched on my issues already. I guess they fall into that category, but going off script. Other things just that I'm remembering that I fixed. We had a long-standing bug where we were shipping an AMD 64 build of what was it? Something. One of our images was shipping an AMD 64 binary inside of the APC build, so that was annoying. So it was a hot issue for some people.
It was bulking up the
no,
an
it
image.
Actually just wasn't working. It was trying to execute.
It was. Oh, okay. I thought it was like just that extra one was in there, stuck in there, but no, it didn't have the right one in there either. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's maybe a warm issue rather than a hot issue, but
As with all these things, if it's on your main line, it's hot.
yeah.
What'd you say? What, PPC? No.
Yeah, 64, yeah. LE. Maybe one to call out, I'm not sure if I saw it in the notes, is the change to CRD management coming in 3:30.
Yeah,
Did you mention that? Okay, cool.
yeah. Yeah, I
Great.
guess I mentioned that right before you joined, I think.
No need to rehash it then.
Yeah, and Lance, we talked about how it will still have the CRDs available, and so that they can be installed
Yep.
ahead of time, and that'll
And
help
anybody
for
can just remove
automation.
the manage CRDs flag from the operator if they want to keep the old behavior.
Okay, yeah.
Are we not installing them by default then in our manifests?
We're not installing them by default in Agera operator.yaml.
Yep. So this will necessitate a change to anyone who's automatically installing, in scripts that automatically install Calico.
Depending on how those scripts work,
Mhm.
potentially. There's a probably a fairly simple, like if you're just writing a bash script, fairly simple option, which is to wait for the APIs to show up using the kubectl API resources command. Which allows you to check for which API resources exist. Main thing is there will be a small gap of a couple seconds while the operator starts up and creates those APIs for you. But on the other hand, this fixes a bunch of issues with integrations with other tools that didn't like the size of our manifests or the size of our CRD files.
And Helm will continue to install them as well, right?
Helm continues to install them, which is basically needed because Helm also creates the CRs. The change for Helm will be that on upgrade, you don't need to necessarily manually update the CRDs, because when you upgrade the version of the operator, it will update the CRDs for you.
Presumably there's no harm if you did though, right?
I think if you did, what would happen is the existing version of the operator would revert them back to the one that it knows about.
Right.
So no harm, but also no
Not
benefit.
helpful.
Yeah.
Casey, do you think we should do anything about that?
I think it's a wait and find out kind of situation. I don't want to prematurely optimize it. I think there's theoretically a scenario where somebody wants to upgrade the APIs before the version of the code so they can pre-configure some settings before upgrading.
Yeah.
I don't think that's impossible with the current code. Like you can disable CRD management, update the CRDs, then upgrade the operator, then re-enable CRD management, for example, or even don't if you want to just
Yeah, I
manually
was gonna say, if you're
do it.
doing it anyway, why
Yeah.
enable it? Yeah.
So that workflow is still possible. It's just not the one that we ship by default.
Okay. Cool. All right. Any other hot issues or medium or
All for me.
mild? Anybody have any Calico heroes they wanted to mention? All right. Well,
Just all you guys for being here.
well, we're to the end of our list of topics then.
Cool.
Glad to see you guys in the new year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah.
Catch you around.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Talk to you.